The one thing you have to admit about Donald Trump is that he makes stuff happen, and in my opinion, that stuff is generally good. And this is what we're going to see being acknowledged today by Bill Maher before, of course, he walks it back. So before we get to these clips, don't forget to like and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
Look, I'll say this for Trump. He's got this idea that America is still the biggest swinging in the world, and we have not used our power as much as we should. That's what the tariffs are about. We have the power to change these people's, other nations' trading practices with us, some of which were out of line. I'm surprised that people went along with it as much as they did. So he wasn't completely wrong about that. He said, look, NATO hasn't been paying their fair share. I'm going to make them do that. He wasn't wrong about that. So if you're the kind of person who says, you know, you can find some good in anybody, this would be the good in Donald Trump. He really does not like war. Thailand and Cambodia were having firing at each other. Rwanda and the Congo. Most people don't even know about these. India and Pakistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan. He got involved in all of them. He really, he doesn't really, he wants to. Now, the way he does it, as usual, he really does not like it when people die in war. There's 4 different wars.
It's messy. He doesn't like messy things. I don't think Trump likes waste. I don't think he likes chaos.
What? Trump doesn't like chaos?
Isn't he a hand washer? Isn't he one of those neat freaks? I mean, he goes around the White House straightening up the paintings.
I think that there is the public appetite for war is small now, and thank God for that. But because remember, in the 90s and the 2000s, we were in forever wars, and that is something that is sort of a nonpartisan thing all of a sudden. And I mean, I think it's very good, but there really is not a lot of public appetite for war. And I think he is where the zeitgeist is on that.
Let's not have the zombie lie that he's still backing Putin because, first of all, he bombed Iran. That was a Putin ally. He didn't get out of NATO.
No.
He mended fences with NATO. So, and he put sanctions back on Russia. So, you know.
You're really coming around, Bill.
I'm not coming around. There's no coming around. There's just what's true. This is true shit. Right. I don't come around. I'm not on anybody's team. I'm on the team. I'm on what's right, what's true, what happened. This is what happened. He just doesn't like war. You're never going to win an election, I think, by saying crime is down, even though it is. So this is the other big issue that people are talking about this week. He's all about D.C. crime. All right, let me give you the parameter, what's actually happening. D.C. does have high crime rates. District of Columbia, higher than Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, which is right after them. But Shelby County, Tennessee, Jefferson County, Alabama, Jackson County, Missouri, have higher murder rates than D.C. Why don't we send the FBI there? Why don't we send the National Guard there? By dragging the homeless off the street now, I mean, to me, this is another instance of Trump having an idea that's not completely wrong, like the borders was out of control. He takes advantage of when liberals fuck up. Yes, go ahead.
So 2 things about this crime. It is good, you know, nobody is pro-crime, right? Crime is bad, okay? There's no, like, pro-crime caucus, we love murder, no. Nobody's pro-crime. There is $1.1 billion of D.C. taxpayer money that is still being held. Mike Johnson sent everyone home a couple days early because his people wanted to release the Epstein files, and he really wanted to prevent that. So there is $1.1 billion, and that $1.1 billion is supposed to go to cops and teachers and people who work in homeless services.
Only Washington, D.C. is called the District of Columbia, meaning the Federal District of Columbia, allowing us to constitutionally administer it from the White House. Those places have mayors. Washington, D.C. is kind of on permanent probation. The federal government has a right to step in if it doesn't feel it's being used, power is being used correctly there. They claim crime is down. Well, let's make it go down further. I mean, if it's a good thing to bring crime down, which the D.C. people have argued they have already, bring it down further.
The streets actually belong to the citizens is something that liberals have just gotten away from. They made homelessness into a lifestyle. And we don't really know what the answer is, but it has to be some version of you don't have to go home because you don't have one. we should do something about that, but you can't stay here. You can't, because we see this in this city more than any other. You can't just take over the streets of the city.
The California solution is to spend more money on it every year and have the problem get worse every year. Maybe they should put them on buses and just keep them on a constant tour. But it sometimes feels like all you do with the homeless, it's like Mercury, is push them around and you never reduce the volume. He's got to do something. D.C. is half a museum and half a city. It's half a showcase, a place where the school kids of America go to learn about the Supreme Court and so on. And I like them to see something of, civic order when they get there.
So again, as in so many of these instances, like with immigration, he's got not an unerring, a totally erring idea that this is a problem, but then he goes about it in such a cruel and unnecessarily capricious way, which just seems like what he's doing now with the homeless situation. We're going to get them into shelters or jail.
Or whatever.
If you like what you're seeing today, go ahead and hit the link in the description to help support the channel and buy a t-shirt that is 100% mother approved. So let's start with this. We have Bill Maher actually giving Donald Trump some credit where credit is due, okay? But then you have Walter Curran over there making the offhand remark, well, Bill, you're really coming around on Donald Trump. But of course, Bill Maher gets really mad real quick. I'm not coming around. I'm not on anyone's side. I'm on the side of truth. And like, Bill Maher, okay, you're a proud liberal person. You have a side. You've picked it. Own up to it. I'm glad you give Donald Trump his due, but don't get all offended when someone makes a clear joke on your show. But then, of course, Bill Maher gets onto the topic of D.C. and Donald Trump's takeover, okay? Oh, the numbers aren't there. Crime isn't as bad as everyone says it is. The D.C.ites aren't really unhappy. And it's like, okay, a lot of the numbers actually aren't going that direction. We know for a fact that 65% of black women think there's a crime problem in D.C. And we know that allegedly some of the D.C. commissioners have been fudging the books on some of the numbers of crime, okay? And of course, we also have problems with crime being reported in general. So when you say that crime is down across the nation, we know that only certain states report the crime statistics to the FBI, and therefore a lot of things are underreported, etc., etc. We've talked about all of that, okay? But with Bill Maher coming out and saying, in the usual fashion, Donald Trump does all of this stuff that is good, it's just done the wrong way, all right? And this is something you hear time and time again. Somebody has to do something, but Donald Trump isn't the one to do it because he's so heavy-handed. And I love this Molly lady's interjection, right? That no one is pro-crime. And I would argue about that. I'd say that, yes, the left actually is pro-crime because when you have places like California that will actually prosecute the victims of crime for trying to defend themselves, then I would say, yes, you do in fact have a pro-crime party. The left has been on the wrong side of so many issues. And now, of course, they're actually siding with criminals over victims. That's why you see these things like no cash bail. You see felonies being reduced down to misdemeanors. And all of that, of course, is to also fudge the numbers that Bill Maher was talking about earlier. So, yes, I would say there is a pro-crime party, and it would be the Democrats, all right? But I do also love how Walter Curran has to point out that, yes, Donald Trump actually does have the authority to work in D.C. because Bill Maher was kind of questioning, why is Donald Trump not going to other places, all right? But in the District of Columbia, yes, the federal government does have control. However, one thing I do want to note, Donald Trump has sent the FBI. He has sent national security. He has sent ICE to other states and cities. Why? Because they were violating federal law. So Donald Trump, of course, is always following the law. He's always following the Constitution, and he's going to step in where he can, especially after learning in his first term that a lot of these leftist mayors and governors are not going to do anything to stop federal crimes from happening. But that brings us back, of course, to the homeless problem. One of those other things that Bill Maher says, oh, Donald Trump is doing the right thing. He's just doing it the wrong way. But that type of reasoning means that stuff never gets done. Nothing ever happens to change any of these situations. Look at California. What have they done? Oh, they've thrown more money after it year after year, and it's just gotten worse. So now Donald Trump comes in and says, you know what? We're going to clean out the homeless. We're going to give them an opportunity to either clean up, get some job training, a place to stay, or they're going to go to jail. All right. And this is something that actually needs to happen. Remember, we have these loitering laws. We have these vagrancy laws. Does a person actually have a right to exist in a city without a place to stay in it? Well, I guess that's a question for a lawyer. But I do think what could be done is anyone who is homeless could be rounded up and given the opportunity, like Donald Trump is giving them, or placed in an encampment outside the city, just like we have for our military bases. OK, because a city and its citizens actually have a right to be free from people laying around doing drugs, dropping needles, defecating in the street, States. Believe it or not, these are things that don't happen in a normal Western society. And yes, they've been allowed to explode under Democrat rule. So I say it's time to bring back the institutions. It's time to go ahead and move people out, and it's time to get treatment offered, because what we're doing is not working. And I actually praise Donald Trump for taking this first step to maybe open up people's eyes to another solution. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description, where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.